What's going on, everybody? Just got a bunch of trinkets from the nice people over at Xtool. These are all the accessories to go with the new P2. It's actually sitting right there. You just can't see it because the frame's not big enough. But we're going to get all this stuff unboxed and we're going to go through it. I'm not going to do one of those fancy, like here, I'm going to show you how to go through every box, but I'll find you a couple of videos and I'll put them up here. So that way you can take a look at those. But let's get into it. So as I was going through the unboxing and getting everything prepped, there were a couple of things that I did feel like it was important to share with you. One, you need to make sure that you come in here, you open up the P2, and you follow the instructions and unscrew this and get anything out of the bed. There was some foam pieces down here. You want to get those out so you're not lighting a fire on foam. The next thing is they actually do have you come back here. You have to take off this back cover and inspect the tube. Make sure that there's no breakage and fill your antifreeze. So filling this antifreeze, they give you a supplied bottle of antifreeze here. And in the instructions, there is a dilution process for what your average temperatures are, especially in winter. We don't want any tubes breaking, so making sure that you are diluting that appropriately is important. So don't miss those steps. Make sure that you get that filled up, because if you run your laser without antifreeze in it, it will not work after that. So you'll ruin the tube and you'll have to get it replaced. So make sure you don't skip that step. All right, so before we get into all the details of powering it on and all that stuff, let's take a walk around the machine, just kind of see what we got going on here. So obviously, like a lot of Xtool stuff, it looks nice, neat, and sleek. It is plastic here, glass acrylic-ish top. I think, honestly, I think it's an acrylic. Yeah, it sounds like an acrylic all the way here. So a lot of plastic, which, I mean, obviously makes things lighter, makes it better for your regular at-home kind of the desktop usage. It is big though. I mean, in a lot of videos and different things, especially when you talk about Xtool, Glowforge, all the desktop models, they make them look a lot smaller than they really are. So make sure you take measurements if you're going to order one of these, and you're understanding how big this is. It's about 40 inches this way. And if I have a tape measure, I think it's probably about just under 24 inches this way. So definitely it takes up some room. You got your start button here, just like a lot of the desktop models. There is an e-stop here on the side. On the back here, you have right here, you've got your regular power button, the power cord. So it says fire safety set. Not sure what that is yet. I believe that this right here is going to be for air. So as I get more into it, find out that. And then obviously your exhaust here. So Xtool did send me the fume extractor that will get hooked up. So I actually need to take this off, and then the fume extractor will go on there. But all in all, I like how clean it looks. So let's go ahead and let's open up so you can see the inside. So I do like this. I like that the lid goes like almost all the way up. It like is almost a straight up angle there. So 90-degree to the machine. Nice and clean inside. It doesn't look like it comes with a honeycomb bed, which honestly I don't think is a problem, because a lot of times honeycombs, they can be air restrictive, but it's got a ton of these knives. Like I took them out so I could mess with it a little bit, and I have knives left over from not putting them all back in. But this looks spaced out well enough that I kind of like what's going on here. So yeah, it doesn't look like they come with a honeycomb, but yeah, the knife bed does what you need it to do. So no problems, at least from me, no problems there. Laser head. You've got, I believe it's your rotary plug right here. I mean, obviously we'll see more of that, but yeah, rotary plug. But inside, pretty basic. You've got another camera in here that goes the camera next to the laser head, and then this is another camera that's a far view, so it's actually looking at the whole bed. But that's kind of the quick walk around. All right, so the next thing to get hooked up is going to be the air purifier. So I wanted to give you guys a quick look at it. So this is what it looks like. Kind of gives you the speed of the fan there. The idea is that it's going to have this that sits on top. It sucks air in, and it's going to go through all of these filters. So this is the first one, like catching your thick gunk, and then you've got another filter, and then another big box filter that all fits down inside of there, and then it goes and pushes down through that fan, and then out through the fan on the side as clean air. So there's where your clean air should come out. They did give an extra port that you could put on here and then do an extension of the hose and run that out somewhere else if you needed to. But obviously, like, lots of filters going on all the way down and through. So we will see in the future how well this holds up and how fast it gets dirty. All right, so now I've got this all hooked up. They do send you an extra like top filter that goes in the top of the box, but they've got a spring clamp that can go here, run this hose out, and then it clamps to the top with an adapter that they send you. They give you two different adapter sizes in case you have like a smaller hose. But yeah, you just put the adapter in there, put it in there nice and snug, slide the hose over the top of it, and then use one of these band clamps that you tighten up with a screwdriver. So that's all hooked up. So now I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to get all the power hooked up to it, and we're going to fire the thing up. Okay, so we've got everything plugged in. We've got the laser plugged in. We've got the air filtration plugged in. So let's fire everything up. So on this, I mean, it's on. So all you do is you actually turn this dial. I'm going to turn it to max because why would you not want anything less than max? On here, make sure that this is unplugged. Unplugged, not pressed in, released, and then we're going to flip the power switch on the back. It starts to power up. And looks like it's on. Going through its homing process. And looks like it's homed and ready to go. So it's showing me here, 27 is the temperature. That's going to be your water that's running in the back, or antifreeze. And unlocked. So got some decent lighting in here. So light bar there, light bar on the side. And this side is a machine. I don't know that you need any more than that. One thing that I don't love so far. So they've got this USB-C cable, and this is as long as it is. I mean, you literally have to be right. If you're going to use USB, you've got to be right next to it to use it. Obviously, Ethernet, they didn't send an Ethernet cable. We could set it up Ethernet, probably get farther away. But yeah, let's jump into the software and let's see what nuggets it has. All right, so I complained about the little cable. But look, the cable's gone, and it's got photo on there. So I was actually able to set it up Wi-Fi. So that's going to make it super nice. I could be sitting across the room, start the job, and it will communicate to the machine. So the Wi-Fi was pretty simple. It looked for my network. I was able to sign in, give the password, and it's connected. So far, so good. Right now, like, this is what it looks like. This is, connected to the machine. It's saying that it's at slats and it's flat. There's cylindrical open plane and conveyor feeder. There's also the curve process. So in a lot of the videos, you'll see it actually working on like rounded features. So we're going to test a lot of this stuff in some of my next videos. But this is the basic layout of the, what's it called? Creative Space. So Xtool Creative Space is what it's called. So that is their software to run the machine. The alternative, you can also use Lightburn. A lot of the Lightburn fans out there, you are able to use Lightburn with this machine, and I'll walk through that in another video. But here you go. Like, there is kind of your basic setup for the Creative Space. All right, so we are here, and we're going to cut a circle. I know everybody loves cutting circles on the laser. So what it's got over here, so it actually has a material. So this is their 3mm basswood that they sent over. Obviously, there's a bunch of different things in here that are already preset, and it looks like it also comes with presets for the settings. So 3mm basswood, it's a 3mm thickness. So if I come back in here and I look at this circle, it actually already gives me, so for a score, engrave, cut. So I'm going to cut, and it's saying it's going to use 100% power. Whatever that means, that's what it's going to use. And then it's saying it's going to go 30 millimeters a second. To me, seems a little aggressive, all in one pass, but we'll see what it does. So we'll go ahead and hit start. It comes up with this preview, and then I'm going to say start up here, and then it wants me to press the button. So we'll come over here. That's all set up. We will close the lid, and we will hit the start button. Well, look at that. Dropped right out. And it's cleared the smoke. Came out here. And right now, I'm not really seeing any smoke in the garage. So looks like that's doing its job. So we'll open this up. We'll take a look. That's a pretty good cut. You know, a good brown, not like charred or nasty. All right, so now let's test out some engraving, because I have this image that I got from a customer that they're wanting engraved on some baseballs, and so ultimately we want to see if it's going to work. So what we've done here, so we're looking at our size in millimeters right up here. So let's say we want to do just straight up 40 millimeters. So let's go to 40 millimeters. There's our image. We're going to go ahead and refresh. And there we go. So let's go ahead and we'll engrave this right up here. So already it's saying that this process is going to be an engrave. It's going to use 50% power. Its speed is going to be 300 millimeters a second. It wants to do a Jarvis dither. So it's giving us all this information already. We could change it. Jarvis on other programs is kind of what I use anyways. So lines per centimeter, 100. So that's kind of your DPI. I'm going to let it sit all stock and see what happens. So we're going to go ahead and hit yes. That's what it's going to come out as. Let's go ahead and hit start. We're going to close our lid. It's ready to go. And hit start. All right, so there you go. There is the Storm logo. Let's get some good light. I mean, all in all, pretty good. And I mean, not a whole lot of like bleed from the smoke on the sides. Yeah, I mean, let's compare kind of what we see in our grayscale. So maybe we could have done a little bit better if we would have done some image processing beforehand. But all in all, looks pretty dang good. All right, so in order to really test out performance, I'm trying to push this thing. So it says the max is 600 millimeters a second. That's what I'm going to do. I bumped up the power to 50, and then we're going to leave this all down here the same. So I just want to see if I can speed this thing up and really push it to its max and see what the results are going to be. So we'll go ahead, hit start, get in our preview, hit start, sending to the laser, shut this lid, and go. So one thing that I'm noticing right now is it's got a really far pass by, or an overscan, what a lot of people say. So obviously that eats up a lot of time. So we might take this same image, go over to Lightburn, and see what we can do in Lightburn. Okay, so there we are. So about 3 minutes is what it took. And honestly, I'm thinking that the other one might have gone faster. because it didn't have as much of an overscan. So yeah, let's take a look at this one as far as quality goes. So yeah, I mean, you can see differences in quality there. Let's go hit this one with the sander and see what happens. All right, so after a light sanding, I think I like the lower one. You can see how the eye doesn't quite stand out there. It stands out a little bit more there because it's more white. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's actually still dark. So yeah, I think that this higher power, higher speed works a little bit better. But I could also just crank up the power a little bit on this one to get kind of a darker, so that way you can still see all of the details. But all in all, I mean, I like the engravings, so we'll try some other things now. All right, so next up, we're going to go through some of the materials that Xtool sent. So this is a laserable leatherette, and it should engrave silver. So it is a blue leatherette to engrave silver. So we're going to engrave and then cut, and we're going to use the same design that we have right here. So we can see all of this is going to engrave, and then our outer line is going to cut. But this is a temperamental material, and I've used it before. I've actually used a black silver, and getting that silver color can be problematic. So we're going to give it a try, and we're going to go over here, and we're going to use the leather settings that they already have in here in the software, and we're going to give that a run and see how it turns out. So we'll come over here, and we will say start, and we will say start again, sent over to the machine, close the lid, and we're going to hit our start button. All right, so one of the problems that I am seeing, and I'm not sure why, but it's literally trying to do every piece of this vector individually. So I don't know if it has to do with grouping or what it is, if there's a setting somewhere. But my expectation that it was going to just go and engrave from top to bottom or bottom to top and like all in one swoop. So something's off. Got to figure out what it is. So that way I can get better times. Because right now we're like 7, 8 minutes into this patch, and there's no way that that's a production environment to really get a bunch of hat patches done in a decent amount of time. But that being said, the engraving actually looks really good. All right, so after a longer time than it should have taken, the patch is done. So let's take a look. Cut all the way through. Looks good. I mean, the engraving looks good. It's a metallic blue is the way that it engraved. I expected it to be more of like a silver. So I'm just wondering if maybe it didn't go all the way through the blue. So we might have to do just like a little test square, turn up the power a little bit and see what happens. Or maybe I'll even go in and just clean this off and see what it looks like. All right, so I was able to get Lightburn hooked up to the P2, and here is, so this was using the creative space, so Xtools software, and then I used Lightburn to make this one using the same settings that were outlined in creative space, and I just brought them over to Lightburn. So honestly, it looks really good. I'm really liking it for this silver leatherette. So yeah, that's awesome. A couple of things that I've noticed about using Lightburn with the P2 is that right now, at least the way I have it set up, using Wi-Fi, you're not able to use the camera features of the P2. So, I mean, that makes it a little bit difficult to try and position things because it doesn't have like a red dot indicator or anything like that on the actual laser head. So you have to be able to reference something inside the bed to know where it's at. to use the absolute coordinates. So obviously some workarounds if you're not going to use the creative spaces, but I did notice that using Lightburn, I'm able to dial in more settings and try and tighten up the engravings, so that way it's not doing so far of an overscan. So some advantages as well. All right, so let's talk about my experience with the P2. We're going to break it up into two segments. Let's talk about the machine itself, and then we'll talk about the software that goes with it. So the machine itself, honestly, I really like it. I would probably go and throw out a claim of this is probably the best desktop version or desktop size CO2 laser out there, um, because you can use Lightburn with it, and it does come packed with features. I like how sleek it is. It's very clean on the inside. There, everything is kind of compartmentalized, which can be good and bad. But all in all, it seems to be really plug and play, from what I can see. So as far as the machine goes, I like it a lot. I think that there's a lot going for the P2. And obviously with all the other features that come with it that we'll see in other videos that I'm going to do, the conveyor that you can buy as extra, the rotary that you can do with the risers on the machine. So there's a lot of things that you can do with this machine that you can't say with a Glowforge or some of your other desktop models. They just don't have those options. With this, that's a possibility. So machine, I really like it. I think it's a good machine. I think the power's there. As far as its ability to process a wide variety of materials, 2 thumbs up. As far as the software goes and being able to utilize the machine to its fullest potential, that's where I see some areas for improvement, is what we're going to call them. So let's look at a couple of things that I've done. So I did some leatherette. So this was done with creative spaces. It took a long time. This was done with Lightburn. It took a lot less time. I used the same settings for both. What I found is that with the creative spaces, it actually jumps around and it has to process each object individually and engraves each object individually. And I could not see a way to get it to stop doing that in the software. With Lightburn, however, it would go and do everything just top to bottom all at once, straight across. So it saved a lot of time that way in processing it that way. But yeah, so it's able to do leatherette. I was able to do this dog tag on the machine. I was also able to use that same design and do a cutout on some basswood. So yeah, like that one too. And then another test of the differences between the creative spaces and Lightburn. So here we go. So there is creative spaces design, looks really good. It took 20 minutes for this guy to run for the engraving because it would jump around and then it would come and then it would cut out at the very end. But it didn't do the great engraving all at once from top to bottom. Lightburn, here we go. This one took a whopping 3 minutes. So drastic differences in the performance of the machine. And I attribute that to being able to control how the engraving takes place. So honestly, the machine paired with Lightburn is awesome and it really gets you some good performance. The disadvantage of using Lightburn is you lose some of those features that come with the machine. You're not able to use the integrated cameras, and so that kind of stuff doesn't work. So far, I don't know if the conveyor and all of those things will work. I imagine that the rotary will be just fine, because you can use your different start positions. But ideally, this machine is meant to work in a certain way, and so Creative Spaces is able to really leverage that. But Lightburn is really able to give you a boost in performance when you're talking about doing engravings and just how the overall image is processed. So as far as the machine goes, 2 thumbs up. I think it's an awesome machine, but I will let you make a decision on how it's going to be best used in your work. So that's going to finish it up for this video. If you are interested in the P2, you can drop down into the description and I'll leave some links there for you to go and make that purchase. Using my links, it does support me, my channel, and all the content that I look to create. If you liked this video and it was helpful, please go and like it and subscribe, because I want to see you on the next one.